Sparklight for fast, reliable internet. Because Sparklight knows that faster is just better. Sparklight, a stronger connection.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.
Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. Sunny skies today. It's going to be fairly nice out there. 10 degrees already this afternoon. South wind at 15 miles per hour. Producing wind chill near 7 below, but even if it feels like 7 below outside, guys, it feels so much better than 35 below wind chills that it was the other day.
It is a little bit better, isn't it?
It's a
lot
better.
More tolerable. And look at Bridgette. She's acting like it's cold. She's in a nice little heated shack in there, out in the middle of the lake, doing some ice fishing. Agronomy on Ice.
Turned on high.
Yeah, it's probably about 68 or 70 degrees here in the house. It's pretty nice, but the wind is up just a little bit, and so we're a nice stopping point that as people are coming on the ice for Agronomy on Ice, they'll dash in, have some tater tot hot dish, and warm up before they take off again. And you guys are seeing the live cam direct from Woodland Resort in Devils Lake, North Dakota. That is where we are. That's what's going on. You see a whole stack of side-by-sides there that folks drove in on. We're expecting a group of about 20 snowmobilers to arrive soon, and everyone is out and enjoying the day.
You know, it kind of looks like a beach from this angle with all the sand that they put out there. That looks pretty nice.
Those
honestly.
white sand beaches in North Dakota, but this is a great day. There are folks here representing all sorts of aspects of agriculture, from fertilizer, seed, chemistry, equipment, banking, insurance, drain tile, ditching, air seeder parts. They are here. GK Technologies is here with talking about mapping and AgVice solutions for our soil lab.
So, Bridgette, is this kind of like the event that was that we visited down in Baltic, just on a smaller level and on ice instead of in the middle of a cornfield?
I think that's probably a way to say it, right? We are on ice. We're not in a cornfield today. And we are combining the fun of tailgating, farming. There's a little fishing, and lots of food. I have gotten text messages just since we were getting ready to come on air that the tamales are ready at the booth down the line for me. The hog that they were roasting this morning is all ready to go. And I know that there's so many desserts and specialty items.
This has now been confirmed. We are going live. We're doing our show live next year for Agronomy on Ice.
This is a great place.
It sounds.
I'm not sure how much work we'd get done. That's the problem.
Well, we just get the minimum done.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Can confirm there's a lot of visiting that's going on. I have a college friend. She was here specifically this morning from the USDA, talking with some farmers about helping them with a grant program that can increase the efficiency and the lighting in their shops and their grain dryers. And so she left her information. Guys, we're going to have her on air before too long to talk about how we can get some grant money to farmers to help that.
That's going to be awesome. Hey, you were mentioning all the different agencies and companies that are out there and what you guys are, doing and talking about. Anyone dealing anything with drones out there today?
I don't think there's anyone who is selling a drone today or working on that, but I saw 4 different drones flying, taking aerial footage. If I can get my hands on that, I'll be happy to share. Yes.
Awesome, because that's going to be one of the topics that we try to get to today is drones and use for livestock. And we've talked a little bit about this for, agriculture purposes with the onion farmers over in New York and some of the applications that can be used around our area for pesticides or herbicides and whatnot, even just surveying what's going on. So it'll be interesting to see what the applications can be used for livestock. And I'd like to open that up with to the listeners out there. Give us a call, 701-293-9000. If you're using drones in your agriculture purposes, do you plan on using drones, or what are your thoughts on, the two, agriculture and drones, coming together? Let us know, 701-293-9000. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to hit a short break real quick, and then we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Will the nation's central bank ease up on the whip it's been using to drive the cost of money higher? We find out today.
The question may not be whether the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates, but by how much. This would be the 8th increase. It's part of the central bank's strategy to slow inflation, and so far it appears to be working. Most economists are expecting the Fed to announce an increase of 0.25%, the smallest since March.
ABC's Daria Albinger. In custody in Grants Pass, Oregon, Benjamin Foster, a man with a history of taking women captive and beating and abusing them. He was found Tuesday hiding beneath the very home where he's accused of abducting a woman last week and beating her nearly to death. In Memphis, Tyree Nichols will be buried today. He died after being beaten by 5 since-fired Memphis police officers. Tuesday night, National Action Network founder, the Reverend Al Sharpton, vowed to fight for federal legislation to prevent future killings by police.
People from around the world watched a videotape of a man unarmed, unprovoked, being beat to death by officers of the law.
Vice President Harris among those to be in attendance. ABC News got its hands on video of Trump's deposition in New York State's fraud investigation.
Trump once said taking the Fifth was for gangsters and the guilty.
You see, the mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
But during an August deposition as part of New York State's civil fraud investigation, Trump said he had no choice.
Anyone in my position not taking the Fifth Amendment would be a fool, an absolute fool.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has accused Trump, his eldest children, and his company of numerous acts of fraud, including grossly inflating Trump's net worth.
ABC's Aaron Katersky. President Biden meets with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy today on the debt ceiling. You're listening to ABC News.
Never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Remember the last time your family visited the forest? It's a place of wonder and imagination for the whole family, where stories come to life. And it's closer than you think. Ready to plan your next visit? Make the forest part of your story today at a local park near you, or find one at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Ovarian cancer is devastating and difficult to diagnose. It's often only caught in advanced stages, and 4 out of 5 women will see the deadly disease return.
I knew when ovarian cancer recurs,
it's often incurable.
It was terrifying, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Until recently, following chemotherapy, women with recurrent ovarian cancer had to simply watch and wait for their disease to come back.
Well, we say,
not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
Not on my watch. Now, with maintenance therapies, women can extend their time in response and delay recurrence.
Knowledge and awareness of your choices empowers you
and gives you a greater sense of control.
Let's call for a change in ovarian cancer care.
The Not On My Watch movement empowers women facing recurrent ovarian cancer to take an informed and active role in managing their disease. Visit notonmywatch.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. I'm Meteorologist Justin Storm with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, and certainly not last, one and only very talented Ag Director here at WDAY Radio, Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette's out on location. She's on Agronomy on Ice. Top secret missions going on out there. It seems like a fun time. We wish we were there, Bridgette. You guys caught any fish out there yet?
We know that there are some fish that are being caught. I just talked to some gentlemen who slept on the ice last night and caught walleyes at about 11 o'clock. Also, for those of us, we managed to catch a few beers. I mean, I haven't had one yet, but Agronomy on Ice has its own official beer. And for a Goodwill donation, all the proceeds are going to go to the North Dakota FFA Foundation. And the company who bought the beer so that they could sponsor it is TMAC Agro. And so these are good things that are going on. You get to take home beer. The FFA is going to make a win out of it. And there's so much food. It's unreal.
I bet when we were down at Baltic, I mean, they had a lot of food there, and they were giving a lot of it away for free, but they didn't have tamales, a pig roast, desserts. I mean, they got it going
casserole.
on up there on Devil's Lake.
Man,
you guys know how to put on a good show.
Well, I ran out of caramel rolls and homemade sourdough donuts pretty early this morning in our house, so people had to shift and start going to next door for cheese curds.
The other day we had I think it was 2 phone calls. At least one listener gave us a phone call, and they were talking about throwing hot dogs down the ice holes on your hook to catch the pike, and if you use a spicy hot dog, you'll get the muskellung. Anyone taking up any of those tips up there in Devil's Lake? You pass that knowledge on to anybody?
So yesterday was indeed the virtual ice fishing tournament, and I don't have results from that. But by virtual tournament, you could fish anywhere on the lake, and then as long as you had the official bump board for measurement, you could go ahead and participate. We know that there were walleyes, northerns, a lot of perch were caught in various places. Several people limited out on perch. So it's been a good time for fishing if you wanted to, but a lot of people today, they're here to talk about everything else farming wise, right? They are here to interact with each other, maybe meet with your local seed dealer. I have some folks that they came just so they can entertain their customers. So there's just a lot going on and just interesting topics of conversation.
Oh, that's awesome. And before we take a look at the forecast, again, I'm going to open up the phone lines, 701-293-9000. We got a couple lines open here. If you want to give us a call and share your thoughts or your opinions on this topic, and we're talking about drones and the applicational use for agriculture, whether farming or ranching with livestock, surveying, spraying different pesticides on the perimeter of your field so you don't have to take the whole sprayer through the whole thing. And I mean, that alone could save you a lot of money on just not doing the whole field, spraying the perimeter to keep the some of the insects from getting into the heart of your fields. If you want to let us know, do you use drones? If you do, what are you using them for? What are your thoughts on them? Do these two kinds of technology go hand in hand with ag? Let us know, because the topic we're going to dive into right now is the drone use for livestock. And Bridgette, what's that look like? I mean, what's the applicational use for drones and livestock? I can imagine that would be very handy for calving season if you have to survey where these are if you have a lot of acres.
Well, and first step is make sure your cattle are familiar, right? When we first went from using horses to four-wheelers and so forth, cattle can get a little skittish, and you don't need them to be concerned and all worked up and running off in directions that they shouldn't. So it's important to get them used to having a drone around you, right? You don't just do that cold turkey. And then after you've started that, you have the opportunity to use these drones to check fences, check your stock out on pasture, just look at the overall quality of your pastures from time to time. And yes, just like you said, Justin, calving season, they're a great idea. Most folks have their calves closer into the barns when it's that time of the year. But if you needed to be able to fly over something and just do some troubleshooting, you certainly could. Remember, when you're flying those drones, it's no different agriculturally than any other way. And you've got to pass your pilot's test through the FAA, and you've got to follow those rules and limits that go along with it. Part 107 is the number of the Code of Federal Regulations that you need to be aware of and be able to pass the test. So make sure that you start looking for those items. Again, you can download that off their websites and take your test for free, but you do have to do a good job and pass it so you can have your drone.
Yeah, and apparently, I mean, you got to do a little bit of homework, and half of it comes into common sense. I mean, there's places you can't fly a drone, and I think most people can probably guess of a handful of where you probably shouldn't be flying a drone. But I heard it's not really that difficult to pass those drone tests. I mean, with drones becoming more and more readily available and the price of these drones coming down and down, more and more people are getting their hands on them, and it's just showing the different kinds of uses from recreational to agriculture to business. I mean, there's so many different uses for these drones, and I just think it's such a great idea to get them involved in agriculture.
Well, and one of our show producers, Michael, just made mention of the fact that you have to retest every 2 years. He does, in fact, have his drone license for it. But he said he remembers some folks getting upset about horses if the drones were being flown near them. And back to what we started with, horses and cows that are unfamiliar with drones around them would get spooked and they would take off. And in that instance, especially I think about it with horses, if you get horses that take off at a run and they're worried and nervous, they'll run right through fences and so forth and get cut up. and that can cause infection, can cause lameness. So that's why it's important to make sure that if you're going to start using them around livestock, you take that slow and get them used to having it without causing any concerns, because that's something unfamiliar to them.
Right. So, yeah, we got a couple of phone lines open right now. Callers, hang on. We'll try and get to you when we come back after the break. But if you want to join in on the conversation talking about drones, the use of application for agriculture, you got a fun drone story, give us a call, 701-293-9000. Share your thoughts on it with us. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll come right back.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's A-N-G-I, or download the app today.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wolf, president of Laney's. Are you considering replacing your furnace this winter? If so, you need to consider Laney's, the only company in town that offers a lifetime guarantee. Our guarantee states that if anything ever goes wrong with your furnace, Laney's will fix it for free. Day or night, no cost to you. That's Laney's legendary lifetime guarantee.
Annual check and service required. Call Laney's today for more details at 237-0543.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. Hungry kids get sick more often and can struggle in school. It can be harder for them to focus and learn. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures.
We want to ensure that all of our kids have healthy meals every day.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping feed our kids.
To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
Don't you hate when you forget something important? Grandma's birthday, the password to your old laptop, or picking up little Timmy from hockey practice? It's okay, we've all been there. Let us take one thing off your mind this year with Giving Hearts Day scheduled giving. Starting January 2nd, you can give to one of hundreds of charitable causes before the big day. You can even pledge to volunteer if that's your thing. Visit givingheartsday.org and help someone in your community today.
And welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Extraordinaire Justin Storm. I'm here at Agronomy on Ice, and I have a guest with us. And this is just a little bit more fun. He breezed right in the door. So Stephen with General Mills is here. And all right, let's just start with the beginning because we're doing this completely cold. Yeah, so tell me. Literally cold. Stephen, who are you? What do you do? And what are you doing at Agronomy on Ice?
So I'm Steve Rosenzweig. I'm a soil scientist and agricultural science lead at General Mills. General Mills, probably from lots of the famous products like Cheerios and Betty Crocker and Pillsbury. And we are sponsoring a project called the Trusted Advisor Partnership through NPSU, where CCA certified crop advisors can go through an educational program to learn about soil health and be able to provide better advice to farmers who are looking to improve their soil health on their farm.
Okay, well, producers are telling us you got to talk a little louder, so don't be shy that you're yelling at me when we talk. Okay.
I will yell.
All right, so Stephen is here with General Mills because he wants to talk to producers about what's going on in their world. So if someone's coming in, what would you be asking them?
So I'm not actually the agronomist. I'm just, we're kind of sponsors behind the program, but hopefully, through the advisors that are going through this program, they're going to be able to have conversations with their farmers about, soil health. They're, some of the farmers may not know where to start necessarily. So, they'll start telling them about cover crops or erosion or, reducing tillage and these kinds of practices that can help improve soil health on the farm, improve water infiltration, soil aggregation and soil structure. That's kind of the knowledge that these advisors are gaining through this educational program to be able to help farmers down this path.
Okay, so when you think about what's going on for agriculturally, what surprises you the most as you started to spend more time looking and working behind the scenes here in North Dakota and with General Mills?
I guess what's surprising is really just, there's a great amount of optimism, even when there's really tough years. I'd say for the farmers that are going down this path and for the agronomists that are helping the farmers down this path, I think it unlocks a lot of curiosity and really this interest in learning more. And that can, carry farmers through even pretty tough times when there's, if you didn't get a good crop that year, you're still excited about what you learned and what you want to try for the next year. So I think there's just a great deal of optimism that comes through from the farmers that are working with the advisors in this kind of program.
So when you think about as a consumer, as a guy with General Mills, what do your consumers tell you that they want to see from farmers and the practices that we handle? What comes to mind?
So it's tough because, there's a lot of different brands behind General Mills, and there's not one type of consumer, so we have some organic brands where the consumers want to know a lot more about how the food was grown, who was growing it, where it was grown. And then you have kind of, a brand like Totino's Pizza Rolls, where it's not maybe the first thing that's on their mind is how the wheat was being grown behind that product. So that's one of the challenges for General Mills' whole portfolio is we have to find a way in to talk about this kind of stuff with lots of different types of people who are interested in lots of different types of things. So that's really the challenge is for each of these brands to, authentically connect with their consumer and what they care about, but in a way that helps to bridge that gap between the consumer and the farmer. So there's still a lot of work to be done there, but people are more so engaged in the sustainability conversation. Consumers more so every year want to support sustainable products, and so we're trying to help bridge that gap a little bit.
I just want you to know I really like Totino's Pizza Rolls, and you're right, I don't actually care how bad they are for me to eat them.
Me too.
Just a heads up.
I'm in the same boat. I like them too.
So how did you come to be a part of all of this? I mean, you're a guy who's not exactly from the Midwest. You're a little further out.
Yep. Well, yeah, so I'm from upstate New York originally, and I was a biology major in undergrad. I was studying kind of like forests and streams and lakes, and I was trying to apply for research programs over the summer, and I was looking at coral reefs and tropical rainforest programs all around the world.
Hi, and welcome to a lake in the middle of North Dakota.
The only program I got accepted to was in Kansas, studying soils, so I kind of stumbled my way into this whole field, but I really fell in love with soil science and learned about how farmers can improve soil just by the way they farm. And so that really kind of sparked my interest in agriculture in general, because I'm not from a farming background or anything like that. So I really kind of came into it through soil science, and I ended up getting my PhD in soil science from Colorado State, where I met a lot of great farmers who kind of taught me everything I know there. So
nice. Okay, so first of all, we have to apologize for all the noise in the background because there are so many side-by-sides and snowmobiles going past out here. It's like a traffic jam.
You really can't. You can't hear.
Yeah,
you can't hear much, Bridgette.
I was going to say, believe it or
really
not,
can't hear.
I never would have guessed.
There's a lot of noise outside, and the hum of generators and the smell of cooked hog in the air is. Oh, glad to see you're taking part.
Yeah, how long have you been? How long have you been coming out to Agronomy on Ice?
This is my first year, so this is totally a new experience for me. I've just been kind of exploring and eating everything I can, meeting lots of cool people.
Right.
There's Hammerschlagen going on outside too.
Oh, fun times. Yeah, me and Dean are gonna have our first time next year if we can't sneak out there tomorrow, maybe. But what's been your favorite part about being out there so far today? I mean, what's the experience like from someone who's never been there before?
I mean, I'm surprised at actually how many people, it's pretty easy to strike up a conversation with. You know, I don't know many of the folks here, but, you know, we've kind of got our core group of people involved with this project, but I've been able to just meet a whole bunch of different folks, you know, mostly kind of agronomists and farmers. And, you know, I know a bunch of farmers in North Dakota, but this is definitely a new group for me. I don't really know that many folks here, but, you know, I've already been able to meet a lot of cool people, get a lot of nice swag. There's, you know, great giveaways and all sorts of stuff like that. So
I didn't tell them about the swag yet, Stephen. They don't know about all the free stuff.
Are we getting free things, Bridgette?
Well,
I didn't get any of those caramel rolls.
I've been given a lot of heat from all of you at the radio station about the caramel rolls. There are stocking caps, hoodies, the buckets for soil sampling. I did say I'd bring you guys some beer. I'll bring beer back, the official beer.
We love you again, Bridgette.
Absolutely. I'll take a hoodie large.
I'll take one of those soil sample buckets.
These are the coolest buckets for your garden, Justin. You're gonna love this thing when I bring it back. They're fabulous.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
And those are the types of reasons why we do these sorts of events, why farmers are connecting with others, because this is the great casual setting to do it. Like you said, you're just having a conversation with someone, Stephen, and they're like, yeah, how can we work together? That's probably more important than anything. So we are at the bottom of the hour. It is 1:29 in the afternoon. We are going to join you after a short break, and we'll be right back here from Agronomy on Ice at Devil's Lake, North Dakota at Woodland Resort, and we'll talk soon. Hang on. We'll be right back.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes
goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am Hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Ew, the toilet sneeze. Every flush spews bacteria onto surfaces that little Bobby touches and then spreads to the light switch and everywhere else in the house. Yuck. So Dad uses Microban 24 to help stop the spread. It's the only sanitizing spray with a long-lasting shield that keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria on surfaces for up to 24 hours. Be confident you're protecting your family with Microban 24. Don't just sanitize it, Microban it.
As a Walgreens pharmacist, I talk with people all the time about little tips and tricks for filling their Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of Walgreens 90-day refills to save them a trip, or using Refill by Scan, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, we got you, with low-cost copays on many medications.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here. Fill your way and save at walgreens.com/Medicare. See pharmacists for restrictions and exclusions.
Fair Meadow Nursing Home is a 42-bed skilled nursing facility in fertile Minnesota. They pride themselves on the small-town, close-knit, home environment feel it provides its residents. And Fair Meadow Nursing Home is now hiring for the following positions: CNA, LPN, CNA therapy aides, dietary cook, dietary aide, and housekeeping aides. Fair Meadow Nursing Home and Assisted Living is committed to providing seniors a rich, meaningful, and dignified life, focusing on physical, social, spiritual, and emotional needs in order to provide the best life journey possible.
Celebrate your commitment. Celebrate falling in love over and over again. Wimmer's Diamonds can help you find the perfect ring that says, I love you even more today. A beautiful pendant that says, you're simply the best. An exquisite bracelet that says, I'm so happy you're in my life. At Wimmer's Diamonds, we believe in showing your love with wonderful, beautiful reminders. Wimmer's, located at 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
At ShareHouse, we know recovery is possible. As the leader in addiction, recovery, and mental health service in the Upper Midwest, we ask that you think of ShareHouse this Giving Hearts Day. We will be expanding our Grand Forks location to provide patients with the care and privacy they need. Your donation to ShareHouse will go into creating a more nurturing environment for our patients. This Giving Hearts Day, donate to ShareHouse on or before February 9th at sharehouse.org.
Farmers know a thing or two about being tough, and they hold their wheat to that same standard. Their fields need to be able to take on anything, because there's no telling what tomorrow has in store. That's why Westbred brand wheat offers varieties like the new WB 9606, offering good stress tolerance, and WB 9719, offering outstanding yield potential and excellent standability. Meet your standards of excellence. Plant Westbred. Performance may vary.
When it comes to cereal disease protection, Prosaro Pro 400 SC fungicide from Bayer makes all the difference. With 3 effective active ingredients for overlapping control of foliar and head diseases, and a flexible application window for head scab, it's formulated to lower DON, protect yield potential, and promote superior grain quality. Prosaro Pro. The future of plant health starts here. Visit prosaropro.com to learn more. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. On special assignment is Bridgette Readel. She is out at Agronomy on Ice out at Devil's Lake, and I'll tell you what, it looks like a great time out there, Bridgette. And, you know, weather cooperating for the most part. You guys have a lot of sunshine out there, a little bit of a breeze, but hey, you know, you could be looking at a blizzard or, you know, it's not too bad. Not too bad for this time of the year. And, Bridgette, I wanted to ask you, so do they have guest speakers out there? Is it everybody just kind of hops from ice house to ice house, or do you have guest speakers out in the lodge there at all?
Now, the lodge at Woodland Resort does have conference rooms available, but what we have done is, if you were to envision that you went to a trade show at the Fargo Dome, right? You go to the Home and Garden Show, and you walk down the main aisles, and there are booths on either side, and you can walk into them and visit. That's literally what we're doing, except your booth is your ice house. So there are indeed people in each different house that have different topics. We've got a lot of folks here from North Dakota State University Extension. There are flags and signs up that signify your house, who you are, what you're talking about in there. And so that's where Stephen has joined me from General Mills. He is right down the line because he's part of the Trusted Advisory Program that's working with North Dakota State University. And so that's how I roped him in to coming over, and he's close by, and they have the cheese curds.
Yeah, homegrown cheese curds from a Wisconsin farm, brought all the way here just from the farmer himself. So.
Wow.
Nice.
How long does it take to grow those?
Wow. It's the curd seed, I hear. So.
I'll have to find me one of those.
So, you know, we have farmers here from Michigan. I mean, we've got a guy who, he and his wife drove all the way over to Michigan just so they could specifically talk to folks about drain tile and tillage and organic farming. And so that's the kind of folks that are coming to get their questions answered here.
Next year, Bridgette, we're going to have to set up a trailer specifically for the LRC, and we can kind of explain what the latest in weather forecasting is, and that I think they'd get a kick out of that. See,
I'll be honest with you. There's nobody here talking about weather, Dean. This could be your day.
I'm telling you.
You know, I was just going to ask, is there any buzz going around on the ice of the LRC since you're up there? Any talk about it at all?
I have had. Remember last week, Dean and I went to Herman, Minnesota to work with Barrett Ag. They are here as an exhibitor, and the guy who had us come in and speak, Gary Sobolik, stopped by this morning just to say, hey, that was great. Still have farmers talking about the importance of the LRC as a weather model and how awesome it is. So I do indeed think that there's a buzz going around, Justin, and it's not just from all of this beer that's going to be.
I knew that was coming.
The beer that's generating money this day today.
Oh man! So, Bridgette, if people want to, I mean, I know a lot of the money there, from the beer and that you said goes towards what again?
The North Dakota FFA Foundation.
Okay, so if people are listening or watching and they're like, "Ah, man, we couldn't make it out there," is there any way they can donate for that, or?
Yes, they can, and I'd ask them to send me an email, ag@flagfamily.com, and I'll take care of that with them. We'll make that a little side discussion and get that handled for those who want to. And one thing I want to make sure to ask Stephen, and again, traveling all the way here to talk to farmers about some of the things that General Mills is looking for when it comes to sustainability and regenerative ag. So when you think about the project that you're working with behind the scenes, how are you going to measure that as success, whether you're General Mills or if you're one of the other companies involved in? And tell us some of the other companies, if you can, who are part of this project, and how are you going to measure success in it?
Sure. Yeah. So we've got a bunch of companies that are involved in sponsoring this program, including Pepsi and Anheuser-Busch, who's just right down the line here. We're staying in their ice shack.
I'm next door to Anheuser-Busch. Just bringing it up, guys.
Good thing we started this show early today.
So I think, and King Arthur is part of it as well. So there's a bunch of companies, that are similar, that all have, a focus on soil health, and we're trying to, make sure that we're investing in the programs that we feel like are going to be the most impactful. And so with a program like this, I think what success to me would look like, a real network of these advisors that all have, the ability to learn from each other, learn with each other. And that's really the goal of this program, is just to make sure that advisors who are really the ones that are reaching lots of farmers throughout North Dakota, that they have a supportive network of other advisors that they can learn with, discuss these kinds of soil health ideas with, because it's not really a place that you can, that there's a lot of information or education about, or, having the opportunity to, discuss. It's not your kind of traditional agricultural conversation. And so just kind of creating that space, there's so much potential there. So that's really the benefit of this program.
So you're really creating all of this from scratch. How are we going to connect with the farmers as these larger companies? How do we make that direct connection and then pass that on to the consumers? Would that be fair?
It's maybe not so direct. I mean,
okay.
We're really trying to support NDSU, and it's really, this program is created by CCAs for CCAs. So General Mills, I mean, we're kind of just in the background, just trying to help support where we can with funding and other things that we can do. But, and then the consumer piece, we still, that's going to take some more time. I think we can talk about what it is that we're doing, how we're supporting programs like this. But it's tough when, most people, when they go to the grocery store, you only really have 2 seconds with them at the store.
Right.
When they're making a decision on a product, it's hard to communicate, the full complexity of a program like this that's really about education and soil health and some of these concepts that take a little bit longer than 2 seconds at the grocery store.
And you made mention of CCAs. That's the Certified Crop Advisor Program. And the Certified Crop Advisors, they are folks within the state. They are crop consultants that work directly with farmers, and they have gone through the accreditation to be able to use that term CCA. So that's why it's very important as to what's going on, why you're using that program as well. They've come in with a really great background. As you think about the things that you've been doing lately with this with this Trusted Advisor program, what surprised you? What are those big aha moments you've had through it?
Well, we've been actually just asking farmers, that come in, what does soil health mean to you? And, what is really bringing you to this conversation around soil health? And a lot of what we've been hearing there is wind erosion and keeping the soil in place, making sure that I'm leaving my farm better for the next generation, and making sure that, we don't keep losing all this topsoil. I mean, I think that's really a key motivator. A lot of the farmers that are showing up here and showing up to the conversation. So, that's just been a great takeaway for me. I mean, I think it's a great motivation that sort of underlines a lot of the principles that farmers going down this path will use, like keeping the soil covered as long throughout the year as possible, and keeping the living root in the ground as long as possible throughout the year, and minimizing that physical disturbance to the soil through tillage. So, it's just interesting and useful to learn more about the motivations that are bringing farmers to this conversation. And wind erosion and water erosion have a lot to do with it, because they can see it. It's so clear and tangible.
Yes. But not only farmers see that, consumers see it, and then they wonder why it happens. So here's a way to fix it all on two different ends too. So that kind of helps.
Yeah. I mean, it benefits the local community, it benefits, the society, but it also benefits that farm and ranch itself. And that's one of the great things about soil health. It's got these win-wins for, all of these different people that care about, food and agriculture. And live in the community. But
a big win-win is also the fact that we're not making any more soil, right? It's not like we're producing it as we do a corn crop. So we got to take care of what we have.
Yep.
And as a soil scientist guy, that's probably got to be pretty near and dear to your heart.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I got into this for. It's, we got to protect what we have. It's such a valuable resource. We have to treat it like soil, not like dirt, as they say.
And I got a question for you, Stephen. So with the drought conditions in the Central Plains, let's focus on, let's say, Nebraska and into western Kansas. I mean, they're going on, I believe, year 2, maybe year 3 of drought conditions down there. What kind of damage does that done with the soil? And if it does do, is there anything that the farmers can do to kind of minimize the damage that these drought conditions are doing?
I think one of the biggest impacts that drought can have is just by reducing the amount of biomass, the amount of green growth that you can produce through your crop. In addition to all the economic challenges, but from the soil standpoint, that residue that those crops leave behind is really the armor. It's the skin that keeps the soil in place and keeps it there. So we need to be able to produce as much of that armor as we can. And when we get into these situations where there's really not the rainfall to produce all of that armor, we get into situations where the soil is really susceptible. It's not covered. It can blow pretty easily. And so, I think some of the first things to do, I'd say, is to reduce the amount of tillage. Tillage passes, if you're kind of turning the residue that you have under the soil, it's not on the top to protect the soil from blowing away. And having that residue on the top will also prevent evaporation of water from the soil. Keeping that skin will help seal in the little moisture that you do have and make as efficient use of the little rainfall that you do get. So I'd say reducing tillage and keeping the armor on the soil is kind of step number 1.
Right. And here's
indeed, we need some more rain in those parts of the U.S. Just a little more rain down there would be okay, guys.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
And I got a follow-up question for that, Stephen. For areas like the Central Plains that have been affected with this drought conditions and some of their soil health isn't really necessarily the best, or maybe some of the topsoil is getting blown away or due to water erosion. And I don't know if this is you can do this or if you can't, but can you fix the soil health? If you can, what do you have to do to the soil, and how long does it take to recover from, let's just say, like the Dust Bowl, for example, you blow all the topsoil off, you lose all the fertile ground. What happens after that? How long does it take? What do you have to do to speed that up?
So there's a couple of key principles. And so if you think about soil as a living thing, living things need food, they need shelter. And so, the food that soil eats is carbon that plants photosynthesize. So one of the first things you can do is to make sure that you're growing as many plants as you possibly can. So, typically, if a farmer in that part of the world, they might grow wheat, and wheat will grow for a certain amount of the year. But then you have all these other months throughout the year where there's not that carbon source, that food being pumped into the soil. And so that's where things like cover crops can come in to help increase the amount of carbon that's being added to the soil. That's really the food source. So keeping the living root in the ground as long as possible throughout the year, that's one of the principles. Like I said, I mentioned keeping the soil covered and keeping it sheltered, keeping it protected from the hot sun and the wind and rain, keeping that residue on the soil surface. That's another, really important thing to be doing. Maximizing the diversity of plants. We talk a lot about things like crop rotation and how important that is for the soil. And yeah, you can rebuild soil. You can improve it over time. It definitely takes longer than it does to degrade it. And so that's really where I think there is definitely a focus on keeping what we have, because it is harder to build up. But, I've seen, and especially, in the research that I did back in Kansas, looking at the tall grass prairie restoration, I saw the huge difference you can make in just, a couple years, a couple decades, with some of these principles. So it can be done. It just takes, you have to have a longer term view. And that is difficult for a lot of farmers who are just trying to kind of make it to that next year. It's kind of how do you keep that long-term mindset and try to make things better over the long run, in addition to trying to maximize your profit for the next year. That's kind of the balance that a lot of farmers have to do.
Yeah, good answer. Thank you.
Well, there's a lot going on here, but there are those who are listening who didn't get a chance to get here to Agronomy on Ice. So, Stephen, if they've been listening and thinking, I really want to have some conversations about this, I want to know more, how do they do that? What do you recommend?
So if you want to learn more about the Trusted Advisor Partnership, you can Google Trusted Advisor Partnership North Dakota. I think it's trustedadvisorpartnership.org. I could be, some might have to fact check me on that. But so yeah, the North Dakota Trusted Advisor Partnership to learn more about that program. There's also great resources if you're interested in learning more about soil health. There's a great organization that we work with at General Mills called Soil Health Academy that does all sorts of workshops and educational events, and they've got videos up on their website to learn more about this. And honestly, YouTube and, just seeing kind of what farmers are doing in this space and checking out some different videos. There's all sorts of great new practices, and farmers are posting what they're doing online. So that's kind of how I stay up to date too on some of the new things that farmers are up to all around the different regions that we source our ingredients, from Canada down to Kansas and everywhere in between.
Well, guys, it's been a lot of fun being able to visit with you. Thank you for coming over and tearing yourself away from all the other conversations and also the barbecued pork that's going on down the road. I might be able to save you guys a plate. We'll see. But right now it is 1:47. We are approaching the time where we need to check in with the American Ag Network, and we are going to do that, and then we will be right back to continue with Weather and Ag in Focus here on WDAY.
Big news from Newsmax. AT&T's DirecTV has canceled Newsmax. I love Newsmax. Now I can't get the Newsmax channel on DirecTV or Uverse. Newsmax has been censored. Last year, AT&T DirecTV canceled OAN. Now Newsmax, the fourth highest rated cable news channel. But DirecTV still keeps 22 liberal news channels and pays them a lot. President Trump calls AT&T DirecTV censorship unacceptable. He's urging you to cancel DirecTV and even AT&T services like cell phone and wireless. Trump says we must oppose woke companies. So stand for free speech. Text the word ZONE to 39747. Newsmax will send you the key numbers to call and their petition to stop censorship. Millions are joining. You should too. You can help fight woke. Text ZONE to 39747. ZONE to 39747. Stand with Newsmax for free speech. I am Act Today.
Join News Talk 970 WDAY Thursday, February 9th as we go live from the Dakota Medical Foundation offices for Giving Hearts Day. Listen to Bonnie and Friends, The Coffee Club, Weather and Ag Radio, and The Jay Thomas Show as they interview many of the nonprofits involved in Giving Hearts Day this year. Don't forget to go to givingheartsday.com, pick your nonprofit, and let's try to beat last year's $26.6 million raised. WDAY, live all day, Giving Hearts Day, Thursday, February 9th.
We all make promises, big and small.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I do solemnly swear
to help you when you're in need,
to be considerate and caring, to be your loving, faithful friend,
partner,
child,
parent,
neighbor.
One of our most important commitments is to support our nation's veterans. Learn how you can help a veteran going through a difficult time by visiting maketheconnection.net.
The Federal Reserve's announcement is out. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Risvet with this closing market. The Federal Reserve met yesterday and today with their meetings concluding at 1 p.m. today. Now, the Fed did slow their rate increase, but signals that there are more to come. They've raised the benchmark 25 basis points today, but repeats ongoing increases will be appropriate. Their statement is a bit more hawkish than anticipated as ongoing increases, that's plural, is kept. This afternoon, traders will be parsing every word that Fed Chair Jerome Powell will be having at his 1:30 p.m. press meeting. But as for now, the commodity markets, they started the day lower with corn and wheat clawing their way back up into positivity. However, soybeans did hold on to their losses and just continued their descent for most of the day. Livestock complex was under pressure all day with feeders leading the way down, and deferred contract lean hogs, they were seeing some triple-digit losses as well. Reports from StoneX Brazil said they raised their production estimates on both corn and soybeans today, with losses from the drought-stricken south being more than offset by gains elsewhere. Brazilian soybean production was raised to 154.209 million metric tons. That's up from the January estimate of 153.79 and above USDA's current estimate of 153. Now, if realized, this would be a new all-time record crop for Brazil and would also represent a 19.1% increase from last year. Let's get a look at the closing market numbers. March corn up 1 1/4 at 6.81. March beans down 17 3/4 at 15.20 1/4. Bean meal March up 50 cents a ton at 484.70. Bean oil March down 154 at 60.79. Wheat Chicago March down 1 1/2 at 7.59 3/4. Kansas City March up 5 1/2 at 8.84 1/4. And the March Minneapolis wheat that is up 2 3/4 at 9.25. Live cattle February down 42 at 158.42. Feeders March down 290 at 183.25. And the February lean hogs, they're down 90 at 73.97. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. 1:52 this Wednesday afternoon. 12 degrees outside of Fargo. South wind at 15 miles per hour, producing a wind chill around 5 below zero. But hey, the sun is shining. There's a little snow melting on the driveways, the sidewalks. We're getting rid of some of that ice. We got a little more cold air coming in, at least for a day. I guess you could count it as 2 days technically, but we got some nice warm temperatures rolling in from the west
for this weekend. Yeah, the weekend looking much nicer. But today, yeah, we'll top out in the mid-teens with those winds not too bad. That changes. The winds the next couple of days are going to be pretty windy out there. We'll have first winds out of the northwest tonight as an Arctic front pushes through the area. That's going to produce a little blowing snow as we head towards morning. Maybe a few snow showers, maybe 1/10 of an inch or so. Not looking like a big deal, but the wind chills are going to be pretty nasty as we head throughout the day tomorrow. We'll have highs in the morning in the single digits and falling off in the afternoon as that cold air rushes in. And then as we head into tomorrow night, about 20 below. Ooh. Luckily, winds will lighten up, but then pick up out of the south on Friday as warm air tries to push back into the area. Tries is a key word. We'll have a high in the single digits on Friday. And then warming up into the upper 20s. Some areas will touch 30 on Saturday before we knock it back down a few degrees into the 20s on Sunday. All in all, not looking like a bad forecast. The next 2 days are going to be a little rough with the wind. You'll definitely notice a bite to the air. And, we'll see sunshine tomorrow, but that'll be replaced by clouds on Friday. Arctic sunshine. But, near 30 on Saturday, that's not bad. I mean, that's great weather to get out and do some ice fishing or do anything outdoors in terms of winter weather, because last weekend was just absolutely brutal cold in terms of, if you want to get out and do anything like that, it just makes it a little more difficult, that's for sure.
Dean, is there any potential that we could maybe see temperatures a little warmer on Saturday, maybe breaking a little higher than that into the 30s?
I think some areas could poke into the low 30s on Saturday. Well, it's we'll have plenty of sunshine, and the warm air will be locked in place. So I definitely think some areas could possibly break the freezing mark.
Yeah, that'd be very nice for a few of us to get temperatures into the 30s.
We'll take it.
Definitely a possibility. And the other thing, we were mentioning this off air in our last segment, in between our last couple of segments, that I was like, I looked outside, the driveway looks like or the parking lot here at the studios looks like a lake because that sun angle is getting a little bit higher up in the sky. The sun intensity gets a little bit stronger. And
it's not melting quite that fast.
I mean, it's shiny like a lake.
Yeah, that's from the ice. That's why. It's called a mirage. So, Bridgette, okay, have you caught anything? You haven't caught anything yet.
I don't think she's fishing.
Yeah, I'm not really fishing. And we do have the Game and Fish out here checking people because there are so many folks. And so Game and Fish is making sure that everyone is legal, but I do not have a pole in the water right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you plan on doing any fishing?
There are so many folks to visit with. I would like to say I will get a chance to go fishing, but the chances are not very high.
So you have to bring us back some perch or something.
Well, and there was a lot of nice perch caught yesterday. I can tell you that much.
Do you know how big these perch were, sizes or anything like that? I mean, I know that they're catching fish, and you said they were decent size, but I mean, any idea of what they were?
I can tell you they were keepers.
Hey, that's enough.
As the non-fisherman type, yeah, they were keepers. That's the best. But I do know that there were a couple of walleye caught last night about 11 o'clock, and they said those were good sized, and they were definitely keeping those to eat.
I see. And for people who are maybe planning on going out and doing some fishing recently, either on Devil's Lake or other nearby lakes around the area, again, I don't know if you have the answer for this, but do you know how deep they were fishing, where they were catching these nice-sized perch and walleye, how deep the water is?
Where the walleye was caught last night, we are easily sitting on somewhere between 30 and 35 feet of water.
All right, so they're a little ways down there then.
Yep. I don't know that anybody brought hot dogs for northerns, though. That was the advice from one of our callers the other day, but I don't think that we have had anybody do that as of yet.
You know, I gotta ask people, because I mean, I don't know. I've heard of using marshmallows to catch trout, but really, you throw a hot dog on your hook. Does this actually work? Someone who's done this, give us a call. Let us know. Does it work? Is it a good idea? Should we try it if we go out fishing sometime? 701-293-9000. Give us a phone call. I mean, I don't know. I've never heard of throwing a spicy hot dog on your hook to catch a fish. I mean, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
yes,
awesome,
I was told this again last night, especially the red Cloverdale hot dogs that are made right out in Mandan, North Dakota. They really like the red ones.
No way, man.
Hey, whatever works, right? Whatever drags the big one in.
Yep.
Man. So let's take a quick peek into next week, because our LRC starts to turn a little active next week. And if you want to follow along, we have our LRC calendar on our website, WDAYradionow.com. Click on the weather tab and then just search down there for the LRC calendar article. And February has a couple of stormy periods, one around the 6th, 7th, and 8th with the storm system. Now, that one may very well go to our south, but we're getting some indications we may get clipped by that next week. But more than likely, that's going to stay to our south. Now, beyond that, anywhere between about the 11th and 12th and the 22nd of the month, that will be key, and we really need the moisture. That's one of the stormier parts of our LRC cycle. We could have 2, maybe 3 storms in that time frame. Last cycle, I believe that went to our south, so let's see how that behaves.
The cold air deflected it south, and I think that'll play another factor in this cycle of the LRC going into February. I mean, that cold air, we just got a short little punch of it at the end of the month as we were expecting it to drop down, but we're expecting another big, cold snap in the middle of the month, and the cold air, our models are hinting it's up there, it's looming.
Yep.
Is it going to pull down? Are we going to get that storm system in the right spot to drop it right over us?
And if it does, and again, that more than likely will deflect those storms to our south. We need the moisture. I mean, January was extremely dry. In fact, we wound up with 2.3 inches of snow and 2.7. Normally, we see a little over 10, so we were well below normal on that. Guess how many foggy days we had last month, Bridget?
15.
30.
It seemed like 30. We actually had 8, but we only had 9 sunny days. So that means 22 of the days last month were at least partly or mostly cloudy. So it was a very cloudy month. And, only 8 foggy days. I thought it would be more than that. That was it.
Maybe it was... I don't know. I feel like there was more than 8 foggy
Can't argue
days.
with stats there, brother.
Oh, you can argue with stats all day long. Look at Kirk Cousins, man. That's a never-ending battle right there with stats. But I think that's going to end it for our show here. We appreciate you joining us here on Weather and Ag in Focus on this February 1st, 2023. We're back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're looking forward to hearing from you tomorrow. But the Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM.